Hello to everyone. I know it's really weird hearing me speaking in English, but we have a non-native Greek speaker here with us. I do not know if that phrase is wrong or right. I do not care. Today on TEDxLarissa podcast, another InterYou podcast where we are going to interview very interesting people that have been doing very interesting things in their lives. Among all those people, Vasiliki, today we are going to welcome her, and we actually sat down and talked with her. She's been working at the port, a Greek startup here in Greece, on that actually works on marketing and on startups. And I know this introduction actually sucks. So Vasiliki, I'm sorry for that. I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to let you talk about yourself. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you're doing in your life, what are your how can I say that, your hobbies. I know one, but I'm not gonna spoil it till the end of the interview, so don't mention that one. We're gonna talk about it later. And that's it. I'm muting.
No one knows who are you, though. Hello, George.
Oh,
I'm Filarete.
true. That's true. Gee, I should have prepared for that one. Okay, so yeah, I'm George, and this is Filarete, the girl that actually scolded me for not being prepared for another introduction. I'm sorry. I'm not from marketing and comms, so I suck at it. So I'm just gonna shut up and I'm gonna let Vasiliki introduce herself and tell us about her life and everything. Vasiliki, you're amazing. The floor is yours.
Thanks so much, George. I'm really excited to be here today with you and Filarete. Our conversations are always really fun, and so I'm excited for this one. I'm Vasiliki. I'm a native Greek speaker, but I wouldn't say it's my forte. So I think people would much prefer hearing me speak about the port in English. I'm born and raised in the US, and I'm Greek Cypriot American and studied engineering. That's one part of myself. And then now I'm really excited to be a part of the port, which, as you mentioned, is a Greek-based startup that does marketing and communications and international business consulting for startups. And I was in marketing and just recently, just this week, switched over into a role that focuses on partnerships. So I'm really excited about that. And especially partnerships like ours with TEDxLarissa and other organizations that are really similar and share our passion for growing businesses. What else about me? Some of my hobbies, I would say my biggest hobby for anyone that knows me is I love shops, and not for the sake of shopping, but I just love going into spaces and seeing how people decorate them and seeing different craft. And I'm a huge proponent of craftsmanship, making beautiful things and buying beautiful things when I can support. Those are a few. Right now I'm in Cyprus. And yeah, that's a few things about myself.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about the port and what are you doing there?
So the port was founded in 2018, and it's founded by Lucy Chu. She's the founder and CEO. And so she was inspired. She came over for sightseeing and was inspired so much by the potential that she saw in the ecosystem and how it was emerging and growing to become essentially an emerging tech market. And so she moved here, packed her bags from the US to bring her background and skills to the ecosystem and contribute to it that way. And so then I joined in 2019 as the one of 3 team members at the time. So it was myself, Lucy, and Tanaya, who's our chief operating officer. And our focus is what we do essentially, as we call it, is international marketing and business consulting. And we help startups realize their potential, grow with the foundational marketing and business strategies that we know and practice.
Right. So I have to ask, you went from engineering to like marketing for basically startups. Is that correct?
Yeah. Who would
All
have
right.
thought, right?
Yeah, who would have thought? True. But like, why? Is it because you actually like startups, or what can I say, well, the environment around it? I mean, because I'll tell you why I'm asking. I'm only asking because myself, I know nothing about startups. When it comes to startups, I only know of their existence as an ecosystem here in Greece, and I know that it's thriving, basically, but I know nothing about it. So, is there something there that made you like that drove you to go into this very specific niche? Is it a niche or a niche? I'm never going to find that. I'll never learn that one.
I like the way you say it. I've heard it niche, but I like
Okay,
niche.
so it's
And
niche. All right.
I think one of the benefits of living between Greece and the US is you pronounce everything wrong in the end because everything becomes a compilation of pronunciations. So yeah.
Okay, so was it about the startups that
Yeah.
actually?
So engineering for me was never really to become an engineer. I had no idea I had no idea what a 9 to 5 in engineering was, like you go into something because you're curious about a subject in school. I really loved chemistry and I loved the puzzle element of engineering, and I loved how everything was formulaic and it had an answer. And 2 + 2 = 4 every time. So that's why I went and studied engineering, but I've always been someone with a lot of different curiosities. And so I had one of my most important things was picking a school that I wasn't only going to study engineering. I could learn about politics, I could learn about business and sustainability, so that I was really learning about a lot of different things. And so it was there then that I decided that I wanted to at some point go into business. And business to me is the most exciting, perhaps, and transformative. Like the place where you learn a lot is in the beginning. And I think you can contribute to the birth of something, to an effort in the community. And so that's what a startup is to me. People with a vision that are coming together to create something in technology and whatnot. And so I think that's how I ended up in the startup world. Greece specifically, because I saw, as I was living between Greece and the US, you see the difference. And so I was really excited by what I was seeing in Greece and how it was growing. And so I wanted to contribute and to be a part of that.
Amazing. I mean, you go from a very structured, background to a very abstract environment. Like, I mean, that's marketing. And then now you're into not corporations, but like the bigger picture. So speaking of very interesting and very exciting things and very structured yet very creative things, one major project that you guys have been undertaking at the port for like 2 years. You like the transition? Yeah, it was a cool transition.
That was a good transition.
Yeah, I know. No, I was thinking about it for like 2 minutes.
That was a really good.
So, you guys have mapped out pretty much everything about the Greek startup ecosystem in your tech industry guide. So, for our audience who may have zero clue over what that is, could you like elaborate on us about what's in the guide and what it covers?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so the industry guides, this is our second one that we've produced. The first one was in 2019 called our 2020 industry guide. And I can speak a little bit about how it came about and essentially what it is. So it's essentially a PDF presentation that is a guide in the sense of the information that it has about the startup ecosystem in Greece. It shares stories of the startups in the different industries that are emerging and are kind of at the forefront. It shares an overarching view of the Greek tech ecosystem for people to reference. And so the first one came in 2019. It was something that Lucy had seen as something that would help the ecosystem. So she was, and this was before I came, that's why I'm speaking on behalf of the team before. And so she was doing presentations in 2018 and 2019 in Greece, in the US, on the Greek tech pillars. So like the different industries, shipping and maritime, travel and tourism, and it was being very well received. And so she was thinking about how she could transform that content to bring to a wider audience than just those attendees to those talks. And then she was thinking about how she could present information to people that didn't know about the Greek tech ecosystem that would appeal to them as well. And so that's how it came to be.
So that's the space that actually Lucy, and shout out to Lucy right now, that she found in the Greek tech ecosystem and in the Greek startup ecosystem in general, that there was not enough information, or was it something a little bit more specific than that? I mean, how do you go about such a project? I mean, from because I've actually read the guide. I've actually read the 2020 guide and the 2021 guide that you guys have created, and there is going to be links somewhere. I'm pointing right now, but nobody can see it anyway. Somewhere down in the bottom of the text. So how do you go from from brainstorming to like step number one when it comes to this? Because you guys actually mapped out 180 startups. You've mapped out 180, 177, I think, or 178. I'm not good at counting, in Greece only. So how do you start with such a massive project?
Yeah. So it starts with research. That's honestly where it started with. So it started with a lot of research that we were doing for our clients. We were looking to showcase what they were doing. We were really excited about their progress and their achievements in the ecosystem. And so it started with that kind of research. It then built on more kind of general ecosystem research, and we were building out a startup database for our own reference as well, so that we could keep a grasp of the successes and the industries and all of the things that we were seeing come together. And so as you build out that kind of research, essentially what I would say to anyone that has a certain expertise, then it just becomes about how you market it and how you communicate it in a way that it can reach people and people find it engaging. Like you said, you read it and perhaps it was informative. So it's like, how do you have this research, you have this content that you've spent a lot of time working on and creating. So then the next step, I would say, is making it into a digestible piece of collateral.
Yeah, it's really interesting. What I would like to ask is, what are your goals for this project at the beginning and then in the future? What are you going to do with this? What are you planning to do and what do you intend to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our goal with it, and in general, I think it parallels really nicely with our overall goal as a company, is to exchange information, to exchange knowledge between members of the ecosystem, particularly in emerging tech markets and those that are interested in emerging tech markets. And so our goal with it was to be the go-to resource if someone was curious about Greek tech, or if someone, let's say, is graduating school and is really interested in travel and tourism, and they're wondering to themselves, and this is just one particular example of how it can be used, but the goal is to then have it be that resource that they can use to say, oh, I'm really actually quite intrigued by this one startup that I found in the map and what they're doing, and I can now use this resource to actually find a job and find a group of people that I would like to work with. So that's the goal of it, is to be a reference for what's happening. And I think the guide has changed. So we've done 2 of them, and it's definitely different this time around from the first time around. So I can speak a little bit to the differences and how we've tried to add more to it so it can be even more helpful. So the first year, it was just those startups that we were featuring in those different industries. Then this year, we added to that with something that is called our startup maps. So we have 3 maps. One is all the startups that are in Greece, that were founded in Greece. And so essentially it shows you by industry their logos, and it's a map that you can reference for all of the startups locally here. And then you have another map that we call our global map, which is a reference for Greek founded startups around the world. And so we were building on the guide from the first year with this expanded resource. Our team had expanded this year, so we had more people doing research primarily Pericli, who's on our team, so I'll give him a shout out as well. And he was doing research to compile the startup database that I mentioned for the maps. And the maps were actually inspired by what we were seeing in Israel. And so we wanted to bring resources like that and bring it to this ecosystem. And then we've also brought in the industry deep dives. So it was essentially it was our goal to bring the guide to life. So essentially if someone doesn't want to be reading about the 177 startups, then they could attend these events that we hosted that were panels, and they could hear speakers speak about the different work that they were doing. So that's how it's evolved. Our goal has remained the same, to bring knowledge to people in the ecosystem, and we're just building on how we do that. So I'm not quite sure what's next, but if you have any ideas, I'm open.
I mean, that some things have to remain a surprise, I guess, or,
And we do have a
have to be.
surprise in the work together, so.
That's true, but we're not going to say anything right now. Although I do not know if, we're probably going to be starting with that surprise when that podcast will be out.
Yeah, it won't be a surprise when the podcast is out. That's
true. For the listeners, it won't be a surprise. It's true. So, Vasiliki, first of all, congratulations on what you actually did with this project, because personally, I see that there's value for pretty much everybody who might be interested in a way in the startup ecosystem, from some dude or dudette that's looking for a job, and they want to go into, the startup world and experience what it's like to work for a startup, to a private fund that might want to come and establish, premises here in Greece. There's value to them also because they can actually take a look at the guide and see and get an idea over how many startups there are and what are the best. And now that I'm on topic of what are the best and whatnot, were you guys were there, how can I say that, credentials maybe over, choosing this startup over that startup, or was it random, which I doubt, but whatever. And did you approach them, and were they reluctant, some of them, or were they not reluctant?
Okay, so I'll answer the credentials part first. So we actually did have we had some credentials so that essentially we could give people an idea of what all of these startups had in common that were being featured, and so that people knew how we had gone about the process of adding them to the map. So the credentials were and are that they were operating 6 months or more. They had a founder or co-founder that was from Greece, of Greek descent, or they had a headquarters in Greece. Then the third credential that they received external funding in the last 5 years or have been generating revenue for 2+ years. And then the last two is that they were offering innovative products, services in their industries, and that we had found them through our the resources that were out there. So we did have credentials. And then to your second question on if we reached out to them, we didn't reach out to them prior to adding them. What's actually happened is two-front on the post-production of the guide is that we reached out to them to say that they are part of this because of their work, because of their achievements. And then we've actually had startups reach out to us as well, because we missed a few in our research. And I think that's a good thing, is that there's more than we can track. So we've actually had startups reach out to us to be added as well.
While you were talking, I was thinking about another person or persona that could actually benefit from that. And it's actually a new startup coming up that they might actually want to, see the competition, although they probably already know it. But it's I mean, all around, it's an amazing guide. And to me, it's amazing how somebody starts that and, actually goes through with it. I mean, the content in it is amazing. It's 50 pages, close to 50 pages rather, 49 actually. So many information and so many, resources and everything in there. How many hours and manpower did that take you to actually accomplish in the end?
And okay, before I answer, you did mention, George, that you're not in marketing or comms, but I think your reference to buyer personas
I
Wrong.
mean, here's the thing about studying management. I
I think
mean, you have
Filaretti
approximate
taught you,
knowledge of many things. So,
Filaretti
yeah,
might have taught you a thing or two, a thing or two.
she did. She did. Not everything though, because I'm a pretty bad student, apparently.
We have to keep some secrets. That's what marketers do.
That's true. Yes. Okay, so you asked manpower and
Yeah,
how
what
many.
were the resources behind this project? Because you mentioned Pericles. How long did it take for you to actually get where you are from, the idea?
Okay, I did not come prepared for that question. I would say that I would say that between the three of us in terms of research, it was about, if you kind of compile it, perhaps like an hour, 5 hours a week research, and then you have the writing of it. So I would say maybe like another 5. I would say, okay, let me reassess. I would say it took half of our day every day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We spent half of our day working on the guide for 2 to 3 months. I think we started it in August. So we started it in around August so that we could have it out October, November, maybe even a little bit before August. But we had been doing this research, didn't start in August. We do it every day essentially.
Wow.
Except for research and the fact that you probably had to reach a lot of people, did you face any challenges during this procedure?
Challenges?
I don't know, probably you
I would
didn't.
say, well, I think a challenge that we faced is how, and perhaps this is just like a general marketing challenge, and something that we always have to have top of mind, is how do we create something that is the most digestible, like the most helpful, and like what do we include, what do we not include, so that it is just 50 pages and it's not more, so that it's just like that right amount of content. And so that's what I would say is generally something that we spend a lot of time thinking about.
Do you have maybe an idea right now that you might want to share on the next guide, on the next years, like what you might be thinking of doing, differently, down from, structure, to maybe pick different startups or choose to show different content? Because you actually go about mentioning, venture stages and sectors here in Greece and the way the capital is actually invested, which is very, very interesting. I mean, I understand half of that, but it looks very interesting in my eyes. So, are you thinking of maybe like expanding it to more sectors or including more financial data or anything that you might want to do different for the next one? Or do you think that it's perfect the way it is? We can add or change a few things, like add more startups and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a good question as well. So I'm never of the mindset that something's perfect. I think there's always room for improvement. And the one thing that comes to my mind is something that's my opinion, but something, and I'm particularly inspired by stories of people. And so I think that is one thing that's missing in the guide. We have Steve Vranakis, who was at the time the chief creative officer of Greece, and he shares his opinion on why this guide is a powerful resource in the community and for startuppers in Greece. I think we have room for improvement in the sense of adding more stories like that and more founder stories. I think there's a lot of stories out there of Greek founders who have grit and inspiration and vision, that we talk about their startups and the startup story, but I think it would be really cool to add a little bit more about the people behind these businesses.
The human factor and the romantic thing about reaching your goal. Yeah, it would be great.
That's the one thing I would say.
Were there startups that are in there and you don't have to name them? And this is going to be a really weird question, but I kind of want to ask it.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Do you have any favorites in this, like startups that you're actually, I mean, port aside, startups that you're actually, looking at and you're like, damn, they're doing a good job or something?
Always. In general, I think we learn from every, like, even if it's not the best startup, like there's something to learn there, or, something to take away. But I'm generally really inspired by, yes, I think there's particular things that I look out for that I find really compelling that it impress me. And I would say there are some that come to mind from a marketing perspective that that are really engineering focused, product heavy startups that have really stellar marketing. So I think those always catch my eye. Yeah, that would be what constitutes my favorite.
It's a very marketistic answer, I think. Or
George wants a name. He wants a name, just the name of a company.
yeah, I do want a name, but I'm not going to force it. I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
There is one,
great.
but I'm forgetting their name. That is why I'm not mentioned. Let me find it. I'll look at the guide right now.
Okay, cool. And while you're looking, I might as well just say that more people need to download the guide and actually read it, especially those that are into the startup world. I mean, I'm not into it, and I've already read it, and I think it's very, very valuable. And to a point, I think that after reading it, I thought to myself that, maybe that's why I didn't get into the startup world, because I didn't have any information over it. But now I do. And yeah, I find it very important.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that, George.
Okay, here's the thing. The startup ecosystem, in my mind, it's a bit foggy. I mean, things like your project, the tech industry guide, are actually really, really important to declutter everything. To me, it sounds, I don't know if it's the right word, but maybe complicated, because there are so many startups out there, and so many start and then so many stop existing. I think, I don't remember the number, but it's like 80% or something, that of the startups that actually begin, they stop being operational after a while, maybe after a year or something, or they don't find funding in general. I like the thrill of it because there's some thrill involved, I'm pretty sure. But I don't know. I mean, up until I actually saw your guide, I had friends, and I still have friends here in Larissa that are actually very interested in the startup ecosystem, but nobody could like point fingers to some of the startups that are actually really good. And in my mind, it was only about the IT, the IT industry. And after reading your guide, I saw that there are so many other startups in so many different industries that are doing great and amazing, and they proudly, carry the Greek flag, and they're making it work outside of Greece as well. And you've in a sense, you actually expanded my brain a little bit too. So thank you for that. I mean, the project is insane.
That's awesome. And that's actually what even someone from our own team shares your sentiment. So Perikli mentioned that from the research that he was doing to compile all of this, he was just amazed at the diversity of the startups and the things that people are creating within such a small tech ecosystem. He was really amazed by the diversity, and then also the how scattered and how influential it is around the world, not just in Greece too. So that was the goal, and I think just in general, in how we approach marketing and all of that, is how can we create easy references for people so that it's all compiled, and we do the hard work and compile it all in one place, so then it's easily digestible and referenced by people people like us.
You definitely do bridge the gap between knowing and not knowing. And I'm going to use that transition to go to Filaretti to have our TEDx, the space between question. I'm really good today with my transitions. I don't know what's going on.
Really good. Yeah, and you're on it.
Okay, so you burned the question actually. So I'm going to use another one. It's the
I'm sorry. You can use that one. You can use that one. It's fine. Nobody needs to know. You already mentioned it though. But yeah.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, I don't know what the question is, so I'm curious.
So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
is the favorite part of the conversation for me.
Okay.
So, Vasiliki, I want you to tell me, how do you feel the void or the space between yesterday and tomorrow in your life?
Okay, yes, definitely not prepared for that question. Okay, so filling the void between yesterday and tomorrow.
In your life, generally.
How do I fill the void between yesterday and tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe this is like the simplest answer and not quite sure what other people say, but I would say with the present, that makes sense to me.
So you're like, you're only thinking about today and about this very moment and not thinking about the past or the future at all?
Well, I'm thinking about how I'm always thinking about the past, because I think we can learn a lot from our past history and in general and all of that. So I'm using that in the present to inform the future. Or
Yeah, that makes
hopefully
sense.
inform the future.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. All right. That's a cool question, actually, and a even cooler answer. But I have another one for you before we go to the gaming
content.
section.
Oh,
There's so
fun.
many questions tonight.
And I owe you something. So I found the startup. It's
Oh,
called
cool.
It's called Better Origin.
Better origin. All right. You're in Vasiliki's head and soul and mind. You guys there at Better Origin. So I'm pretty sure you're doing an amazing job. I don't know what you do, and I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna go out there and say it. I don't know
I
who
love
these
their
guys are.
message. They
Oh,
make insects essentially, from my understanding of from the marketing.
right. I'm gonna look them up then.
In
So,
these really cool black moving boxes. I don't know what they're called, but yes, yeah, you can look them up.
all right, I'll look them up. I'll look them up. Sure.
Okay,
So,
so one more question.
yeah, before the gaming section,
Mhm.
at least. So I know, well, I don't know because I actually did any digging into it, but you mentioned it before we started the interview that you're a major Survivor fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be like a Facebook quiz up on you, and I'm gonna ask you one: if the port was, a Survivor, uh, I don't know, are they characters, actors, whatever, a Survivor
They're warriors.
warriors, a Survivor, God, again with this word
Oh,
that I
yeah,
can't pronounce it.
you're right.
Contestant.
Contestant,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I was so close. Which one would it be, and why?
Yeah.
And if you could like say the others would be probably, this startup or that startup, or if you could go about it more generic or more in general, like they could be a startup in that industry based on what you've seen. I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot.
Okay, wait, I missed the second part of the question.
Let's go with the port, and then we'll go to the
Okay,
second part.
I just got drawn into who I would pick for the port, so I missed the second part of your of the question.
The second part would be, so the port will be like, I don't know, someone, right? Some of the others or your more favorite ones. Which startup would best represent them?
Okay. Yes, and then I got drawn into Anthi and who she would be. So yeah, so that's why I missed your second question. Okay, so I don't really know who I don't really know who everyone else would be.
Okay.
Like yes, that seems like
That needs a lot of time.
the port I think would be a compilation of Marilena and Chris. I think he calls
The
himself
lawyer?
yeah, the lawyer and Marilena, right? Would you guys
I think I was afraid. I thought you said Anthi, and I was like, what?
no. Well, in terms of humor, I hope we are on C because she does generate a lot of positive energy.
Isn't they the one who's constantly losing? Is she the one?
Yeah, the favorite player of the salon.
All right. So,
She tries.
that's true. Is she
She's
the one
paid
who?
really well. Sorry, George, but she's paid really
Oh,
well. That's why she tries.
Yeah.
oh, that's who she is.
Yeah, I
I
wonder
see.
how-
6,500 per week? Per week or per month?
Allegedly.
Per week.
Yeah, per week, but that's allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
See?
what startup she would be. I don't know what startup, I can't. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you did, it would be better not to name them. I think. And I hope we're not going to be sued by Anthi in the future. I mean, I don't know.
have positive things to say. She gives me such entertainment. So
Is she your favorite? Who might be your favorite if not Anthi?
okay, my favorite is Triantafilo, especially when he won last night and he went into the pool and started splashing the water like a little kid. He's my favorite.
All right.
Yes.
Triantafyllos it is. All right.
Yes.
Philarete, who's your favorite?
I don't like this year's Survivor. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
But
Okay,
from
well,
what I've seen,
that's a diss to the channel.
I'm
You're
sorry.
dissing them. That's fine.
maybe yes, maybe other.
I like MasterChef. I like Greece's Next Top Model, but Survivor this
Oh, I
year,
like
no.
Greece's Next Top Model too.
You see, that we can speak better. But from what I've seen, I like.
Katia, because Katia kind of bridges Next Top Model with Survivor.
Yeah, but I didn't like her. So,
Okay.
I liked Angeliki because she could speak with the birds and she had this instinct. And instinct is the most important thing.
Yes, in nature.
I'm
You
so
have to
sorry
be
for
in
her.
nature.
All right. I mean, we're probably
And
gonna
I
have
like
an interview
James
about
because he's ginger hair. What?
Yeah. Oh, James is funny. Okay, well now I understand, Filarete, why you're not a fan of Survivor, because Angeliki was there for like 2 weeks, and now
Yeah, I know.
there, so yes.
True. She didn't do that well.
No.
So yeah, but I'm a big James fan. I just have to get out there and say that he's amazing. And
entertaining.
Marilena also, she's very good.
Okay, so why are you surprised that the port is a mix of, or who do you think the port is?
I mean,
Chris?
okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Who do I think the port is?
Yeah, because maybe I'm confused.
Based on what I've seen from you and Lucy, I'm probably
Are you gonna compare our marketing?
not your marketing skills, but rather your your spirit. I would probably go about and say that you guys are either Marilena and just Marilena, because I'm not so sure about Chris. And I'm not going to speak about him because he's a lawyer. So I'm walking a very thin line. I would say just Marilena or maybe Sophia, because they're both warriors. And they seem both honest, although I don't know. I don't know. It's a reality show. You can never know. Anyway, enough. Filarete wants to say something.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. You don't want to say it.
It was not so good. I was supposed to say that the port is a June and all the other are the startups. So you are a June that you have the guide, and that's what I said. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we could have said Yorgos Llanos actually, because it's awesome.
You are Yorgos Llanos because you're funny.
And nobody laughed ever in any of the podcast interviews.
So funny.
All right. Since I'm being funny, I'm going to move over to the fun section.
Okay. Third transition that is on point for the night, George.
I'm on fire tonight. I don't know. I brought my A game here with you. So this is going to be a would you rather question. I'm going to ask you a would you rather question, and then Filarete is going to pick one, although it's not that complicated. So here's the thing. Would you rather be an unimportant character in the last movie you saw, or an unimportant character in the last book you read?
Both unimportant, you said?
Both, yeah.
So the last book that I'm trying to read is, and I say trying because I'm not done, is Conscious Leadership. So I don't think it'd be fun to be an unimportant character in that. I would say movie.
All right.
But what's the last movie I've seen?
Which one?
I think it's one of those rom-coms that plays on the television here.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So I think I think I got it. I think I would love to be an unimportant character in a movie, in one of the last movies I saw, because you know those like three friends that are always like the unimportant friends of the main character. I think those are really fun people. So
yeah, the supporting cast.
I would want to be one of them.
Cool. What about you, Filarete?
It's such a tricky question because at the beginning I thought, okay, I prefer the book because you're always there. But now people don't really read books. So it's better if you say, you saw me, I'm in this movie.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's more useful for Instagram. So
All right. Vanity, is
but
it?
it
Okay.
depends on the movie. If it's thriller, I don't like it. If it's a comedy, a romance, yeah, better.
Okay. So maybe we're in the same movie.
Okay, that's good.
Maybe we're the two, and then George can be the third unimportant friend if he also chooses movies.
George can
Definitely
be
unimportant.
unimportant. Yeah, definitely unimportant. Period. I don't. I don't have to be anything else. I mean,
No,
unimportant
you
is
won't.
just.
Only if
Yeah.
you want.
And you, George?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't be answering that one. That was my question.
The writer of the
Uh,
unimportant book or movie.
okay, so the last movie that would have to do. What was the last movie that I actually saw? I think it was
Notebook.
no. It was definitely not Notebook. It was probably the Euro Trip on Netflix. Yeah, that's
Oh,
the one I think I saw last, or Jumanji. I don't know, either or. They had so many goofy supporting cast, so many goofy supporting characters. I don't know which one to pick. I think I'm gonna I don't know. I don't want to pick anybody because they're they're very weird. So I don't want to pick anybody. So I'm gonna say a book.
okay.
Although I haven't read any books, of the aside from business books lately. I don't know. I'm gonna go with a book because I think that people get more invested in it with book characters rather than movie characters. So I'm gonna go with
Depends
that
on the
one.
movie, but yeah.
Nice. Now it's my turn.
Okay.
So, would you rather have hands that kept growing as you got older or feet that kept growing as you got older? It's more fun. I know. It's
So
fun.
hands that kept growing or feet that kept growing?
Yeah, constantly.
And this is a question you came up with, Filaret?
Did you
No.
find it somewhere, or it was
Yes,
your?
I found it.
Oh, okay, okay.
The question that you want. Okay.
George sent me the link just to humiliate me.
I don't know. Hands? I think I
Hands?
would
Yeah.
say hands.
Mm-hmm.
What? I mean, what do you mean by constantly growing? In the sense that I'm gonna have this big clown feet?
Like hair, George. Like hair.
Gee,
Long. They would just get long. You would get taller essentially if your body could handle it.
right, but the hand part, not the arm part. So like only this part, right?
Oh.
Probably
And it would
yes.
get. Wow, what would I be doing with that one? So okay, here are the logistics and the issues about it. If you have like big clown feet, you need to find the right shoes because
Yeah, that's
apparently
what I
people don't walk around barefoot anymore. About the hands though, I mean, imagine people having like this really big hands that they do in the baseball games and the
Mhm.
American football games. They're like yay big, and it's I don't know. I don't know what
It
would
would
be.
help you it would help you in baseball. So if you want to aspire to be a baseball player, I think
It
that would.
would, but imagine making a cup of tea with such big hands. I don't know.
Are you torn?
Imagine touching someone with such big hands. I mean, this is weird. I have this really weird image in my head and I can't get
Think
it out
about
of
how many people you could hug, George. You could hug like 10 people.
All the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna go with the feet. I don't know. And I'm gonna be like, screw the shoes. I don't care about the shoes anymore. I mean, look at my feet. I mean, that's the problem, not the shoes. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the feet on that one. So
Nice.
anyway, Vasiliki, to end this interview on a
that
really good
note.
note, we want to thank you for being here with us today and participating in this. I want to say to everyone that they kind of need to download the guide, and there are gonna be links somewhere in the bottom. I don't know. You guys should actually read it, whether you're into startups or not. And if you're not, you're probably going to be into startups after reading it. I mean, there's so much info there. I don't know why wouldn't somebody invest or, get into that ecosystem after reading that information. For those of you guys who are into startups and you're actually or you're actually in startups right now, you have your own, there are really good things coming together with the port. Although those good things actually probably already came by the time that you're in this point in the podcast file, whatever. Vasiliki, thank you so much for sharing, the insights on how to make such a project and maybe some challenges that you faced. Really excited and waiting for the next one. And we wish you the best, and I wish you the best. And thank you for being such a great guest tonight.
Thank you so much. And I'm always happy to, if someone is inspired to create their own content after this, hopefully,
Right.
I'm happy to connect with them, to bounce ideas off with them. So if they don't know, we're always a resource. And thanks so much for having me. It's so much fun always to chat with both of you. So I'm really excited that we did this podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the amazing questions and the very creative questions.
Especially the one with the face, I know. Thank you.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have such weird dreams tonight. Anyway.
Sweet dreams.
Yeah.
Let's say goodbye.
Let's
Goodbye.
not say it like that. Let's not be like that.
Bye.
Ever. Kisses to everyone. Thank you for listening another TEDxLarissa podcast. It was another interview. Another interview, true. And more to come. And thank you. We love you. Bye-bye. Have a great night. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Kalispera, kalinita, kalinoches, or whatever. Vasiliki, thank you again. Keeping awesome. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.